Sunday, the Hardy Boys in a race with death. Then, a visitor from beyond all galaxies.
Who are you?
A demonic messiah with the power of life and death.
This man is some kind of a god.
Is this the end or a new beginning for Battlestar Galactica?
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
His paintings redefined comic book heroes. His vision inspired a generation. The Legend of Kingdom Come is the definitive documentary on Alex Ross, known as the Norman Rockwell of comics.
It almost looked like Renaissance paintings, except for superheroes.
He makes them look like Olympian gods.
We go behind the scenes of his definitive graphic novel, Kingdom Come, now on Blu-ray, packed with exclusive interviews and unseen artwork. Order today at legendofkingdomcome.com.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. For just $3 a month or more, you'll get exclusive access to the Word Balloon e-magazine, featuring transcriptions of some of my best conversations. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for another Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Happy to welcome Dennis Hopeless back to Word Balloon. Good to see you.
You too, John. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure, dude. Hey, I'm thrilled that you were hooking up with the Ignition Press, and you gave me a sneak preview of a fantastic new book called Just Brutal. Pretty cool stuff, man. A family adventure with a little mysticism involved as well. Give us the pitch on this.
Yeah, so I've been trying to get this book made for like 15 years, and I never had a solid, like, quick elevator pitch. And then I heard the sales guy for Ignition, Dan, was on a podcast the other day, and he called it Mitchell's versus the Machine meets Masters of the Universe, which is a very succinct way to put it. And I was so happy that he did it for me.
Hilarious. That's fantastic. Talk about this family. I've got, so this is the main cover, but there are variants as well. And did I load them all? I think, I loaded 3 of them. Oh, I forgot Mom's cover. All right. But tell us about this family.
Yeah. So basically it's 2 normal teenagers, twins, find out that their parents have a 3,000-year-old secret that they were never told about. And it involves like a crazy monster mayhem thing that's happening in the world. So it's like a slice of life, normal family drama where the parents don't get along, they're getting divorced, and the kids are too much like the opposite parent, so they struggle with the other parent. And then all of a sudden, a big, crazy, monstrous thing from their past comes back, and they have to find out about it.
Yeah, again, you can kind of see, kind of an idea. There's definitely hidden secrets going on in the story, and obviously I'm letting Dennis reveal as much as he wants to or not, which kind of inhibits how much I could talk about the characters. Let's talk about the brother and the sister. Tell us about this guy.
Yeah, so that's Jordan. He's a teenage filmmaker. He spends a lot of time in the movie. In the comic, he's making like a John Wick style hitman comic. So he's built squibs into a suit, and at the beginning of it, he kind of looks like he's getting shot. But yeah, he's really focused on the projects that he's doing. But his father is like a super man's man, alpha male, who's great at all of the stuff that he's not, and they have a hard time seeing eye to eye. And then his twin sister is the opposite, where she's really great at reacting, and she's an awesome volleyball player, and she doesn't get along with her mom because she's way too much like her dad.
All right, wait. Oh, I do have that. All right, yeah, here's the mom. Okay, very cool. I mean, again, I don't want to. Is this spoiling Dennis showing the variants?
No. We'll talk about it a little bit more. I want to talk about like I said, I've been trying to make this for 15 years.
Yeah.
And the initial genesis of this was, remember when Brett Favre kept retiring and unretiring from the Packers? That's how long ago we were talking about this thing. Bill Simmons is a sports writer that was working for ESPN at the time, and he would write these long columns. And whenever that was happening, he said, I know we all get annoyed with these football players and they get into close to 40 when they want to retire and then they decide they're not going to. But if you had to stop doing the only thing you were ever great at in the middle of your life and never do it again, like, you would understand. And I thought, that is a great concept for a character, like someone that is really, really amazing at something that is no longer relevant to their life. And so the original version of the book, which I called Barbaric, that title's been stolen by a fantastic comic since then. But it was just, yeah, like a guy that was a Conan the Barbarian or a He-Man type figure 3,000 years ago, defeats this sorcerer and like just wipes magic off the earth, but his curse that he has to live forever with no magical war to fight. And so he was haunted by this thing he used to be great at. And I had done a pitch. I don't even remember what artist was originally on it, years and years ago, for that. And it was just kind of always in the back of my mind. And then when Valiant was starting back up, they had asked me to pitch Shadow Man. And I had a pitch for Shadow Man that was a kid that grew up with his white mom in the suburbs and knows nothing about his dad, gets the generational Shadow Man powers, but he knows nothing of voodoo and he doesn't know his family. And so when he goes to try to figure all this stuff out, like, he has no connection to that stuff. And so at some point after that book didn't happen, I thought, I wonder if I could mix that family dynamic into the Conan thing. And yeah, like I don't know, probably 10 years ago, I cooked up that version of it, pitched it with Ty Walker. This book almost went so many different times. Like Image almost took it. And then at the time they were doing Birthright, which was a little bit too similar conceptually. And then we almost got it at Vertigo at one point. It got all the way up to like the last Are We Gonna Go? And they decided the characters were too young for a Vertigo title, which is actually Jamie Rich was my editor on that, who was championing it then, which is how it ended up at Ignition.
Oh, that's great, man. Absolutely. No, that, again, for people who don't realize, Ignition, Jeremy Hahn, Philip Sablik, Jamie Rich, all three good guys. And honestly, I know Philip and Jeremy more than Jamie, but I certainly know Jamie by reputation and mutual friends. That's wonderful, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and because of that, I didn't have to pitch it. I'm really good friends with Jeremy Hahn. He lives pretty close here. I've known him forever. And, he talked to me about, we got this new publisher, Eric Gitter's going to do a thing. And he talked about it for a couple of years. And then they were in town meeting with another creator and invited me out for drinks. And I thought they were just going to give me a soft pitch of the company and tell me, you can pitch. But Jamie was like, I searched your name in my Google and this pitch came up and it's already greenlit if you want to do it. Like that, when I sat down at the meeting, they had pulled this thing out of the old inbox and it was ready to go. And I was like, oh, I've just only been trying to make that for a decade and a half. So really excited to be doing it.
That's excellent, man. Well, you in your email said and in fact, it's in the title of this episode that, you're ready to do your own creator-owned thing. And I put on the lobby card your Avengers Arena, cover and everything, which is a fantastic run, among other X-Men runs and things. So, yeah, tell me about the feeling about DC and Marvel right now.
So basically, I was at Marvel for almost 10 years. And then when the pandemic happened and everything shut down, I had 3 projects paused. One of them was I was doing a graphic novel tie-in to the second Spider-Man PlayStation game that was going to ship with special editions of the video game. And when the pandemic happened, they changed their plans and they ended up baking some of our backstory into the game because the game got pushed by a little bit, which canceled that project. Wow. And a couple other things got paused that eventually got canceled. And I'm at home with 2 kindergartners. And I realized, okay, this is a temporary job. There's a reason we have charities that help aging creators. There's no real retirement plan. So I can, chase more of this work. I can go try to make inroads in DC and a little Suicide Squad, or I can figure out how to feed my kids. And so, yeah, I spent the next couple of years after that building a day job, relearning how to do other stuff. And I kind of got an internship with a buddy's marketing company and built up in that direction. And while that was happening, I was doing one creator-owned thing at a time. I actually had the time to do the stuff that had been on the back burner and the stuff that I had pitched with other people and had wanted to do forever. And, I did Hard Eyes at Vault, and then I did She's Running on Fumes at Comixology. And I realized how burnt out I was on superheroes. I had been, really on a hamster wheel, trying to do more books than I was comfortable with at Marvel for so long. And 9.5 years is a long time to write superheroes. And so it was fun. It taught me what I used to love about writing things and made me realize I'm much more comfortable if I can take my time on this and do multiple drafts of outlines and like really talk about it with my collaborators before we get going. And it's been fantastic. And also, I don't have to worry about the next thing and how to keep my lights on. I have to worry about AI taking my entire industry down. But beyond that, I think the fear in the hamster wheel has calmed down quite a bit for me.
That's great, man. And again, I can appreciate, because it's been interesting these 20 years to watch how the industry has changed. Because when I started, that's really when the idea of creator-owned, I believe, like around 2005, where beyond the elite, it seemed more possible in the opening of Image and that wave of Remender and Clay and certainly Kirkman, all these guys and stuff. So, I just think the dynamic changed. And that generation before, the pinnacle was DC and Marvel without any, plan B when you get in your senior year. So, no, I get it. But also the good news is you're obviously still very creatively excited because, this is a fun series. I think it's a really neat idea for some reason. And you kind of get it a little bit. I mean, this is a group shot, but you can see the dad there in the background. And I got almost like The Rock kind of vibe from this guy and everything. So how much was The Rock in your mind in creating the father?
Quite a bit. Like especially he was just starting to blow up in his movie career whenever I wrote the initial thing. So like probably in the initial character descriptions for my early drafts, it was 100% based on The Rock. Because that kind of guy, like that super alpha male that's physically imposing and charismatic and great at everything, would be a really intimidating father to have if you weren't like that too.
Well, and it kind of echoes an early 2000s favorite of mine, Noble Causes, that Jay Ferber was doing. And that was more soap opera, but it did have that kind of family dynamic without the romantic relationships. But I like the family dynamic you got going here because obviously the kids are influenced or by their parents in different ways.
Yeah, it's funny that part of it has grown a lot. When I originally came up with this, even this version of it, I hadn't gone through a divorce yet. I didn't have kids yet. Like I hadn't been a step parent. Like there's a lot of things in this that I had written or like conceptualized, but I'd never lived it. And so having lived that, now you have twin sons who are exactly the same but completely different. And that really changed how I wrote the siblings. And it made Winter, the sister, a much larger character. Because I'm like, their dynamic is really interesting if both of them are too much like the opposite parent to really relate to, the parent they want to relate to. So that family dynamic is really important to me. And a thing that I wanted to do more than anything in this is show the trauma of these things. Like when Ben and Aunt Beru get killed in Star Wars, Luke's sad for like one frame, and then he just goes on to the adventure. And that's for space and time, but that's really unrelatable. Like I would have been curled up in the fetal position for 3 weeks if I had come home and seen my parents charred to a crisp. So I wanted to play with that, within reason, within the book, and show what this does to the kids. Like finding out your parents are keeping this crazy secret, and also this is your birthright, and you were completely ill prepared for what's to come, is terrifying. And it plays on those family dynamics in a fascinating way, I think.
That's cool, man. I also think, again, the obstacles that they face, very, very, like you said, very barbarian, but with a modern, I mean, it's almost a Jumanji by way of Conan kind of feel.
Yeah, and it owes a lot to like 80s action cartoons, Masters of the Universe, Thundercats, Silverhawks. There's definitely what we're trying to do there. I posted some stuff today that were Brahms' original head drawings that he did of all of the different Mordorks, like the people that have been twisted into evil monsters. He originally went in kind of a Lord of the Rings direction where they were like scary orc people. And I sent him a bunch of pictures of like He-Man figures and Ninja Turtle figures. And I'm like, let's make these things really weird and funny and scary. But then whenever they show up, play them how they would be in real life. Those things are funny to look at if you don't have to deal with them, but they'd be terrifying if they jumped through your dining room window.
Are you thinking toyetic at all, possibly?
What do you mean?
As far as the designs of the monsters and stuff, they'd make interesting toys.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be great.
Oh,
I just wanted to.
Apparently, Dennis was not thinking toyetically.
Yeah, no,
very good.
No,
it's good, man.
I really just there's something about those shows. If you go back and watch them now, and you're a little bit older than me, you probably didn't watch that much when it was on.
No, I always say I was already out dating
Right.
when all that shit in the 80s was happening. But keep going.
But I was like preschool and early elementary school, and that's just all imagination fuel, like those shows aren't plotted well, but they're beautifully rendered and the backgrounds are amazing and the concepts, they just filled your little mind with crazy and exciting stuff. It's a reason that my generation holds on to it so much.
Honestly, man, you'll forgive me really fast. That's why we had stuff like that, but in really small doses. I would say Bakshi's Lord of the Rings and even Ralph and Wizards as well, and Heavy Metal. So and I mean, those are kind of more the R-rated ones and everything.
Sure.
But and I mean, because I think otherwise the 70s Saturday morning stuff was tame. But that's the thing. We did see these things and they were really cool, but we just didn't have them the way you guys did in the 80s with everything. Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers, everything. So, He-Man, of course.
And the toyification of it, like because they were just trying to sell us toys, they had to create new villains and monsters just constantly.
Yeah.
And it's silly from a storytelling standpoint if you watch the show, but people had to be creative at a clip in order to keep that stuff cranking out. And that's what I wanted to bring to this. I really wanted it to be like scary fantasy that affects these people for real, but it's fantasy in that vein. Like in the first issue, there's a snapping turtle dragon with a VW Beetle for a shell that jumps through the dining room window and then tries to kill them. And like I wanted to have that push-pull of tone where it looks funny and it looks like a Saturday morning cartoon, but it's terrifying for them.
Is Mom basically kind of a She-Ra sort of thing, or how?
Yeah, that's the idea. Like you learn more about their past in the fifth issue. Yeah, in the fifth issue, you see some of that, and they essentially come from two different places that are all doing the same thing. Like imagine two different tribes that have a power set that you earn, and then that's where it came from. But yeah, that's what I was doing there.
I see. Okay. Were you ever a guy like into the Herculoids at all? Because I get that vibe here too.
I never saw that. Like I know what it is, and I remember thinking it looked like He-Man.
Yeah. Well, and also it was a family. It was like barbarian family with sci-fi tinge to it and everything. So yeah. Well, that's cool. No, this is great, man. I'm excited. How many issues for this first arc?
It's 6 issues, and then Ignition does this cold open 0 issue thing that takes place before. And with most of the books, it's just like a scene or a taste of what it's like. With this one, it was a little hard because there is the big twist at the end of the first issue. So what our cold open does is it tells the story of what happened in Iowa. Like when magic came back into the world, what did that look like? With a character that becomes he re-enters the series later, but it takes place two issues before, and it's like crazy magic mayhem at the Iowa State Fair. And that one is actually already available. You can buy it on the Ignition web store. So if you want a taste, that's available, both the regular cover and the variant.
Yeah, I don't know how these things are being released because I just had McCann on about the other half. And I think his cold open is coming a little later than the first issue and everything. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I know with Jeremy's book with Murder Podcast, they like put that out first and kickstarted it. So I think they're, mine's the first book, I believe, of the second wave, or the second book of the second wave. So I think they're figuring out from the first releases what they want to do differently going forward. Okay. And they're being really smart about like what works for each project, what works for each book. So I can't sing Ignition's praises any higher. Creatively, it's been fantastic. Working with Jamie's been awesome. They're amazing promotionally. The book is printed well. The graphic design is fantastic. The marketing team's doing great. Like I just couldn't be happier.
I don't blame you, man. No, again, I'm happy for my friends, including yourself and Cullen as well, and McCann. and obviously Philip and Jeremy. And again, I good wishes to Jamie, even though we're not close friends. But no, honestly, this is great, and it's interesting to watch. I mean, I remember when I first got back into comics, cross-gen was just happening, and it was interesting watching the development of that. I certainly hope for the best for Ignition Press compared to cross-gen, but no, it really is. I haven't really had a chance to really watch, because even Vault, Mad Cave, some of these others, I wasn't really paying as much direct attention. I remember the first time I heard about Mad Cave, and I'm like, what? And now, goddamn, look at all the great stuff they're doing. Vault has been amazing. It's really been great to see this midline publisher find a place. And again, Ignition Press, I trust the creative behind it, and the end product as well.
Yeah, they've been really impressed with everything that came out. And from the beginning, like from the very first conversations I had with Jeremy before I even knew who all was involved, it's very creative centric, like not just taking care of creatives, creators, which they're doing, but just how do we put the best foot forward for each project? How do we make sure that like this is everybody's best idea and best way to showcase it and best artist for it? And it's been really impressive to see them treat each thing so carefully. And it's perfect for where my head's at. I do one project at a time. So having a team that's really invested in this and like excited to get the next script is really fun. A lot of times at other, especially work for hire, your editors are so overworked. They're just happy you turn the damn thing in. Like no one's super excited about the plot twist. So that's been fun.
I'm bummed that Planet Comic-Con is the same weekend as C2E2. I was talking actually to Jeremy this afternoon, and I didn't realize that, because I'm like, God, I was really hoping Ignition Press would have a presence at C2E2. You guys are going to be down in KC for Planet Comic-Con.
Yeah, I live here, so that's basically the only show that I do now. I do some out-of-town store signings, but with my kids, it's hard. I either have them on that weekend, or it's the only time I get to spend with my partner. So Planet's like the one big go big or go home for right now. At some point, my kids are going to get old enough they don't want to spend time with me, and then it'll be a little easier to get back out there. But right now, this stage of my life is very much about being the best dad that I can.
How old are the kids?
So my twins are 11, and then my partner's got a 9-year-old son. So
cool. That's cool.
And a 9, yeah.
That's fun. Have you shown them any of the comics you've made?
Yeah, this is the first one that, like, when it came out, they really wanted to read it. Like when I got the comps, they said how to read it. It's a little bit edgy for them, but not too bad.
Yeah.
So that's been fun to see them, and they dig back in. Like my kids went and found my Avengers Arena trades a while back and read those, and they're really into it. They're kind of the right age for that slightly edgier Marvel stuff.
That's cool. That's cool, man. No, I was thinking about Avengers Arena when we were setting this up, and it was a really great run, and it was pretty cool that they let you kill off a couple significant kids.
Yeah, that was my first ongoing, and it was a very difficult time for me emotionally as I was killing people's beloved characters and getting absolutely savaged on the internet. After having done creator-owned books nobody read, and I wasn't used to it. But it was a pretty good trial by fire to learn how passionate people are about their Marvel favorites.
What was that like, Dennis, as far as, really throwing yourself and being like, hey, awesome, I get to do an Avengers, tie-in book. That's let's see what happens. I'm sure you were really excited. But then to get that kind of feedback, tell me what it was like.
It was really confusing. Because really, when you're coming, you start out doing creator-owned because you have to. No one's going to hire you and pay you to do anything. And then at some point, if you do it right and send off enough copies and glad hand enough, you get an opportunity to work on these characters, and then you have no idea what it is to have someone read your book. My first book sold 3,000 copies, and I think most of them were to my mom. So you go from being thrilled if someone does a review to, like, Tumblr just hated me with a fierce passion. And I made the mistake of going in and like trying to explain the story, and they were like, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. Like, what, you've been savaging me for 3 days. Yeah. I thought maybe I would. But it did prepare me. I started therapy. Like I can thank the Avengers Arena or the Avengers Academy fans for me getting into therapy, which has been a great thing for my life. But it's really difficult to have a bunch of strangers wanting you dead, and your name, like, I'm not a real person to them. My name is just something printed on a book that they hate, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny to look back on it. It was a tough thing to go through. I've gone through much tougher things since then, so it's funny how upsetting it was when I look back on it. But it did prepare me for, like, stay out of it. Like, this is just them having emotions about something they can't control that I get to control for a living. And it's best to just leave it. Because, yeah, near the end of my Marvel tenure, I did a Darth Vader one-shot. Or not, it was a mini-series, but it was a series of one-shots. And in one of them, I had a nurse on the Death Star that was in love with Darth Vader and had in her mind that they were going to, like, run away together. And at the end of it, like, her delusions get more and more elaborate. And then at the end of it, like, she presents herself to him and sees him without his helmet on, so it kills her. And boy, there is a section of Star Wars fan fiction writers who did not like that story one bit. They thought that I was making fun of, like, slash fic, where they would have people, like, romantic stories with Kylo Ren and Darth Vader. I didn't know that existed. That's not what I was doing. But yeah, it was ugly for a minute, but I realized, like, okay, this is their thing. That's not what I did. I backed away. And I think it cost me more Lucasfilm work because I was supposed to do more Star Wars work, and they were just like, nope, there's a controversy. We'll back off of that.
Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, it was a thing I knew how to deal with because of the fine people who hated me from Avengers Arena.
Well, there's Prince Parker, who just says, yeah, we all loved metal. Insane, Dennis. Honestly, I've never, I've never really talked to anybody to say, yeah, what was it like? And again, I'm glad that you're over it and found a way to be like, yeah, whatever, it's their party. Fine.
And it's I think mine was particularly intense because of my personal emotional sensibilities, and also because we made a murder book. Like, we took a book that had been kind of a light teen fun superhero story thing and then threw them into a death match. And so it was the perfect storm of that. But I remember Matt Fraction used to live in Kansas City, and he was here at a party right around the time that he broke into Marvel, and he was doing a Punisher run. And I remember listening to him talk about how angry fans got that Frank shot a lockout, and how, like, I just remember being like, well, Matt's really, really surly about that. I didn't get it, but now I do, because he was excited and got this cool job, and then he put a book out, and there's a bunch of people saying that he's an idiot because an imaginary man shot an imaginary bullet at an imaginary door. And so, yeah, like, I think it's a thing we all go through, but
no, I get it, man.
Part of the job.
Exactly. Absolutely. Do you have any other Ignition things coming up, or are you, like you said, right now it's just focused on this? Yeah,
I do one thing at a time. So I have a thing cooking that I'm going to pitch to them that I'm excited about. I've talked to them. They definitely want to do more stuff. Or at least that's what they've told me. So I think that there'll be more stuff down the road. My next projects, I'm doing a middle grade book at Mad Cave with Chris Grine, who does the Animorphs series at Scholastic. He's a good friend of mine. He did Chicken Hair that they made into a Netflix show. He and I have been cooking this thing up for, I think, longer than just Brutal. And yeah, Mad Cave wants to do that. So we're doing that, which will probably be next year. And then Mad Cave is also doing the print edition of my Comixology book based on my parents. She's Running on Fumes, which is a 80s rural crime thing that's like a fictionalized version of my parents. So I'm really excited to have that in print. Those Comixology books are great. They're like great budgets. They take care of you. They do a really good job, and no one who reads print comics is aware they exist. So it'll be really nice to be able to sell that at shows.
I understand. And I don't even know have I read recently that Comixology might be shuttering or whatever? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that would be news to me, but
sorry for the rumor.
My finger is so far off the pulse of that sort of thing because I have a day job. So like I make these things and then I promote the heck out of it whenever it comes out, and then I back away into the shadows where the normal people live.
We didn't talk about it when it was in Comixology. So for the Mad Cave thing, come back obviously. When it comes out. When's it coming out?
Absolutely. Yeah.
When's it coming out?
I think next spring, so we will have a minute, but
Oh, I see. So not in a couple months, but in 27.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just asked them that question because I was curious. They had emailed me and said, "Hey, we want to do this. We're working up contracts," and I'm like, "We want to do this in 26 or we want to do this in 27? It'll be next year."
That's cool. All right, no worries about that. How are you raising the boys? Are they and forgive me, are the twins boys or girls?
2 boys, yeah.
Okay, so all 3 are boys?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, how is the path to nerddom or not for the tweeners?
So mine are definitely nerdier than the 9-year-old. He's very much a sports kid.
Okay.
One of mine is very much he's really into space, and but he also likes sports. I've got one that's the most like me. Like, he likes to be comfortable. He likes to sit around. He makes comics. None of them are that into superhero stuff, but they love graphic novels, and they're starting to get into manga. Like, they read My Hero Academia voraciously. So I try to just let them be. I tell them all the time, like, I don't need you to be impressed with my job. Like, it is totally okay if you never think Dad is cool, but I love that you like this stuff, and you are welcome to come dig through my long boxes when you get there. If you want to read an awesome Daredevil run, I have all of Bendis and Maleef's from when I was in college. But yeah, it's funny because they like the same sorts of things, and I don't know if it's just because it's been around or because the Marvel movies have existed their whole life or whatever, but they're just not into the superheroes like I was at their age.
But so where is the connection in terms of, something you can watch with them, and they're cool with the fact that Dad's watching it with them?
I mean, I don't think my children understand that when they're not here, we watch the television. Like, they have control of it, or it's turned off so we can all read or whatever when they're home. And part of that is we're a mixed family with divorced parents, so they're not here part of the time, and we're much more kid focused when they are. But yeah, we do movie nights on the Fridays that they're here, and we watch like Back to the Future and Jurassic Park and all the stuff I loved when I was a kid. So that's been fun. Cool. And then we do one like newer show that's kind of in between. Like, right now we're watching His Dark Materials on HBO, and we watch the Percy Jackson thing. So like, we watch that stuff with them. But yeah, most of the time I'm like cooking and cleaning, or we're working or doing something else while they're watching Big City Greens on TV.
Understood. That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you have time to watch any current nerdy things yourself?
Yes, but I do it really slowly. Like, I really like the new Westeros show, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but we've only watched the first episode. Okay. I really liked Pluribus. Did you watch that?
I did. It was very good. It was amazing.
Yeah. It's awesome to watch someone who has been given enough leash to do something that's a slow burn, where you don't have to explain everything in the first season, which is my dream. Like, I love character development and slow rolling stuff. If it were up to me, I wouldn't explain anything for 7 issues. So it was really fun to watch that. And then we just started, or no, my big thing is Slow Horses. Slow Horses is one of the best things on television. That show's amazing. It's annoying how quickly we burn through it when it comes out, because it's so fantastic.
When Sherlock was happening, I purposely, because thank God there were 3 90-minute movies or 4 90-minute movies, I'd purposely like leave the middle one out, and because I'd always want to have something to watch, because truly, when you have to wait 2 years for a season, it is just ridiculous. I'm sure you feel the same way. Were you a For All Mankind person?
No.
Oh, well, that's another great Apple show, and it's coming back for season 5 finally. And yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, we got to wait years between seasons, and it's just, oh my God, the Diplomat that I loved and really took my time with, because again, I'm like, I know it's going to be 2 years before I see the next season.
Yeah, Severance, between seasons 1 and 2 of Severance almost killed me.
See? Yeah.
Because that show's so interesting, and they did a great job with the second season, but it ended, and you're like, oh, now I'm going to wait forever.
Pete Beiser real fast agrees with you about Slow Horses and Oldman. Yeah, Oldman's insanely great in this.
He really is. Yeah, they made a show called Down Cemetery Road that's based on novels by the same guy. And It's good. It's really good, but nothing's as good as Gary Oldman in that role.
Is that also on Apple, or is that on BritBox or Acorn or one of those?
I think it is on Apple.
Okay, I'll have to look for that. I had BritBox and Acorn, and I just found myself not watching that much there. So you don't want to have a million streamers, and I have plenty.
That's the problem. There's too much good stuff.
Yeah.
There's things that I know are good that I just haven't gotten that into. And there's stuff that I watch by myself just because like Whitney's not willing to sit down as often as I am. And so it's like, okay, I'm not even going to introduce you to this because I don't want to wait forever to get through it. But yeah, it's a great problem to have because so much stuff is so good. But we were spoiled by the 24 episode seasons where you only had a short 3-month break and you got it back. And we had to sit through some bad episodes because of it. But the time of being able to just watch these things all year is gone.
It's weird, and it's weird the few shows that like still hang on at the 4 major networks that do still churn out 20 episodes in a season. I was really surprised. I was kind of resistant to Watson on CBS just because the same way with Elementary. I mean, I loved Sherlock on the BBC. Elementary, no, sorry. And even Watson, I'm like, I don't know. But I had heard that, the guy from the Full Monty, the lead guy.
Oh, yeah. What is his name?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about it on the show. But he played Holmes and showed up at the beginning of the second season. So I've watched a couple. And it's Poor Man's House at the end of the day. But it's a solid medical procedural.
Right.
And again, they're churning out 20. So incredible respect for doing that. Because I think, God, I'm not going to bore you with my frustrations with Star Trek, for God's sake.
I gave up, man. I love it. I love Star Trek, but nothing has grabbed me in so long. And I suspect there's good stuff. I would probably like some of them, but there's so many of them, and I don't have time. I have friends that worked on one of the recent ones. I don't even know which one, and I will go watch that because I love him and I want to support him, but it's hard. Well,
the animated shows were pretty good.
Yeah.
The live action shows, a couple episodes here and there, but and Picard season 3 was decent if you're a Next Generation fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Next Gen.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, and it was satisfying, but not perfect, but still, damn good for a revival show. Hey, man. Could have been Murphy Brown reboot. Oops. Mad About You. Oops.
I watched the pilot of that Mad About You show just because I was curious. And boy, that's a thing that didn't need to exist.
No, I know. It's and truly, it's like, well, it certainly worked 30 years ago. Why not? And it's like, well, it was great. Paul Reiser in The Boys as that kind of prototype Stan Lee.
He's great in Stranger Things too.
Yes. And I mean, truly, it's been popping up in all these weird character roles. Even that Kaminsky Method sitcom that Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin did.
Yeah.
And he was in that. And I didn't even recognize him because they had his, he's wearing like a bald cap and a pulled back gray hair. Looked like a hippie. And it's like, oh, that's Paul Reiser. Wait a minute. So weird. So have you seen the Mel Brooks, Judd Apatow thing?
No, I just saw the preview for it, but I haven't watched it yet. Is it good?
Yeah, it's really, really good. And you see, I'm sitting on top of this stuff, Dennis, because I end up doing review shows on Word Balloon for it. So that's why I'm, that's my excuse to myself of having no life and sitting in front of the TV.
No, it's my kids' fault. I would be doing the same thing. Like like I said, when they're here, they have the TV on, and because I'm trying to still make comics and different creative things while having a day job, there's just not a lot of extra time. So I fit it in where I can. Like I watch a lot of TV on the treadmill because I can put it on. The stuff that Whitney doesn't want to watch, I can put on and watch in 40-minute increments. So that helps.
I do understand that. So I'm assuming you haven't seen Wonder Man yet.
No, but I heard it's good.
It's very good. It's very funny. It was a big relief after several years of misfires. It's like, okay. I mean, I like Fantastic Four and I like Thunderbolts, but not a lot since Endgame. I got to be honest. couple things.
They just needed to take a break. Like I haven't seen Thunderbolts yet, but I really liked those characters in other stuff. And I loved WandaVision. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
But it just feels like when they have to do so many things, like of course they're not all going to hit.
Yeah.
It's like the Star Wars stuff. Like at some point, whenever you take that IP and crank things out with it, you're going to have hits and misses. Like of course you are. But it's just so much. There's just so much.
Well, again, unfortunately, because of COVID, and then afterwards too, even in a weird way, the strike, we really like they pumped out so much during COVID, and then we had that drought during the strike afterwards. So we really were left with the glut. And again, there were a couple good things here and there, but not everything certainly. And it was too much product. And now it's interesting that DC is starting to amp up a little bit in this current environment. And I really felt that people, when they would talk about the Superman movie, and of course the negative people, it underperformed. And it's like, the market's changed. Like $1 billion, even though we still see that occasionally with a lot more films that maybe you're taking your kids to, frankly. But the stuff that we like that was generating $1 billion, I don't think it's a fait accompli.
Yeah. And the stuff we're also so spoiled by the good stuff that like if that Fantastic Four movie had come out like in 2001, it would have been the most amazing thing that had ever been. But we've seen such great stuff that incredible production design and them like doing a faithful adaptation in and of itself isn't that exciting. And then it's just okay. Like it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. It's not a fantastic thing that blows your mind. It's just a really solid Fantastic Four movie. And it's sad that that's disappointing to me, but it is.
I absolutely agree. And in fact, telling our friends that are in the screenwriting business, it's like, and not in any negative way, but saying, you guys got to figure out a different act 3.
Yes.
Because just fighting the big giant CGI thing, the circus act is getting old. We gotta freshen things up. We gotta figure something else out. Here's a comment from King of New York, and he says Wonder Man was great. If Dennis loved WandaVision, I think he'll love Agatha if he hasn't already seen it. Very good.
Yeah, I wanted to see that. I was busy when it came out, and I haven't watched that. I haven't watched they did like a Werewolf by Night thing that everybody said was good.
That I loved. I thought Werewolf by Night was excellent. There's in Wonder Man, without spoiling it all, there's a standalone episode that's tied to the big story, but really is kind of another mini self-contained thing. And it is so smart, and the writing is so on point, and the acting is perfect. But the whole Wonder Man itself was excellent. But this thing almost could have been its own little one shot. It's so distinct. But again, from a general standpoint, ties into the Wonder Man story. Anyway,
that's awesome.
It's amazing.
I think, you know what? I suspect the difference between this stuff that really lands is just more time to percolate. Like they didn't just run out with their first idea, or they're almost there, so we'll just have a script doctor come in and re-dialogue this. It feels like they actually took their time to figure it out. I mean, that's what WandaVision isn't perfect, but it's a fascinating concept that they leaned into hard, and so it was really fun to watch.
I'm with you. I'm optimistic for season 2 of Daredevil, for Born Again.
I haven't watched that yet either, but I'm sure
it's good. Honestly, I was worried, and it's interesting that finally Disney's like, hey, something, we're going to phase out Hulu. Just come over to Disney Plus. Enough of this nonsense.
Yeah, that's great.
But I was concerned with it being on Disney Plus that maybe it'd be watered down compared to what we had on Netflix.
Yeah,
no, not at all, which is great, and it because it's appropriately an R-rated, action show.
Yeah.
So no, it's good. It's really, really good, and like I said, I am optimistic about season 2. We'll see what happens. But
I really liked the Jessica Jones show.
Yes.
And so I watched a little bit of Daredevil when it was on Netflix, but it for whatever reason, I didn't love it as much as everybody else, so I didn't finish it. And then I loved that Jessica Jones thing. That was really good.
It's man, I got to talk to Segura and Stephanie Phillips, because really with all three, the Netflix show, or rather the Disney Plus show and Alex Segura's novel, and Stephanie taking over the regular Marvel book and stuff. So it's going to be quite the Daredevil month in March.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty crazy, man. Did you ever write Daredevil?
I wrote Daredevil in my Doctor Strange arc. I was supposed to. So in the middle of my divorce, when my head was on fire, they gave me Doctor Strange, and it was always like, you've got 12 issues on Doctor Strange. We're opening it in the middle of an event, and then you get to do 12 issues, and we'll see what it goes at what happens after that.
So
and
where was Steven in this story?
So New York had been taken over by
Kingpin
magic or something, and Kingpin had been the mayor, and then there was some sort of magical thing that was going on that Mordo was involved in. This tells you like how messed up I was. I don't remember. There was some sort of green magical ball that Daredevil was inside of that was on top of the Empire State Building or something. And essentially I just did Jessica Drew, so Spider-Woman and Kingpin and Ben Urich teamed up to try to stop, and Doctor Strange obviously teamed up to try to stop whatever this thing was. And I did like a D&D campaign with them where they had to find like magical artifacts, and it was really fun. It's gorgeous. It was drawn by the artist that did the Brian K. Vaughan Baghdad, Pride of Baghdad. I can't think of the artist's name.
Oh yeah.
And so it was gorgeous. It was a beautiful, beautiful book. But anyway, so I barely got that thing written because I was such a mess. And then I never pitched the next arc. And I finally got around to, let's make Loki Sorcerer Supreme. But that was as far as I got with it. And I got so far behind that Nick Lowe called me and he's like, man, we gotta move on. So Donny Cates ended up coming on and doing his version. Like I didn't have a story. I just had that idea of that, and then became the Donny Cates after that. But yeah, it was the only job that I ever like lost at Marvel because I got so far behind. My head was on fire. But in that, I wrote Daredevil. That's the one time I got to write Daredevil. Is he was somehow wrapped up in that.
Was this right,
Nico Henriken? Yeah.
And Henriken, excuse me. And Prince Parker points out that was around the time of Secret Empire.
Yes.
Very cool. Crazy, man. Excellent. What else is going on, Dennis? What else can we talk about?
Man, what is going on? That's a fine.
We might be at the end of the camp ride. I always feel bad, and because again, Dennis and I are good friends, man. I don't know what else we can talk about, man. I don't want to. I feel bad if it was only like 40. All right, good night, Dennis. That's it.
No, I've been speaking of D&D. I was never a gamer. I was never into tabletop gaming. I worked at a comic shop after college, and those people drove me insane. They tried to make me, like the regulars would try to make me play, and I hated it. And then a couple years ago, my kids started asking me about it, and they wanted to play. And I'm like, well, I know enough to know that you at 9 aren't going to be able to do this on your own. So I like dove in head first with the full weight of my ADHD and like figured out how to run a game for them. And so like the world has one less Dennis Hopeless book because of this D&D campaign, because it was so all consuming. But I've been doing that with them and building a thing. It was actually kind of based on the Masters of the Universe world that I created for them. And we've been running that for a while. But something about that, and then I finally, for the first time ever, I watched the Lord of the Rings special editions during COVID. I'd only seen it in theater. I wasn't a big fantasy guy. And I started reading fantasy novels. And now I am just knee deep. Like I'm reading Brandon Sanderson. I'm going back and reading Wheel of Time. I'm reading like all of this stuff. And I hated it. When I was a kid, this was like nothing gave me the cringe more than the kids that were into the fantasy novels. And now I love it. I'm all about it. It's so that's what I don't know if you're into that stuff, but that's what I've been reading.
Well, ironically, I find myself every now and then there will be a certain fantasy thing that I'll say yes to. And actually, I keep meaning to get to the new Westeros show. Mm-hmm. But I got to be honest, like I totally avoided the Amazon Lord of the Rings, and not because of the negative stuff, but I'm just like, I don't know. I found myself offended that Peter Jackson stretched out The Hobbit to 3 movies. It's like, dude, I remember watching that on a Sunday night on NBC, the Rankin Bass Hobbit.
Yeah.
And it tells the story. And I'm like, I think you're milking the cow a little too hard there, pal. So
and
that
in the
really
most
offended me.
obnoxious way, where we have to watch a bunch of dwarves bounce on like their gummy bears on a river of wine barrels. Yeah, and I get it. Like he wanted to make it epic, and he wanted to tie it into. But yeah, that was really obnoxious.
Yeah, again, because I really did love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And even the extended version. I've got the DVDs and proud to own them and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, bridge too far for me. So I really kind of started to fall out of love with fantasy. But the occasional thing does intrigue me, and I do come back. And actually, if anything, weirdly, mentioning as we did the 80s cartoons and the 70s cartoons, I'm finding myself looking for a lot of those weird counterculture sci-fi things. There was that Rock and Rule, I think, from Canada, and things like that were around the same time, a little before and a little after the heavy metal movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that weird stuff. Fantastic Planet earlier and much more artier than what I'm describing. But yeah, all that weird stuff. So
yeah, it's been so I was the same way. Like I watched Lord of the Rings because it was a cultural phenomenon, not because I cared. And there were good movies, like they're fine, but like Helm's Deep is a fantastic battle sequence. We didn't need to see it again with more ridiculous stunts. Like it just always bothered me. The structure of it always bothered me. And I finally read The Lord of the Rings for the first time during COVID. I had a lot of free time.
Oh wow.
And I read The Hobbit to my kids, and then I read it. And there's a sequence in Atlas Shrugged where a character gives a speech for like 30 pages that everybody makes fun of. Faramir explaining Gondor in that book, I threw it across the room because I read at night, and he put me to sleep like 6 nights in a row talking about the history of this place I don't care about. And so like I really struggle to care, even with the great stuff. Like I remember when I read Game of Thrones, when I worked at the comic shop, somebody recommended it, and I started and restarted it like 10 different times before I got into it and realized why people loved it, because it kept talking about their clothes in a way that annoyed me. Like I really had the cringe, and now I'm all in. I've read I'm on my third like 1,500 page Brandon Sanderson epic fantasy novel, and I'm really into it. So it is weird how like eventually you get over yourself and can try these things that annoyed you.
Carrie's like, oh boy, you're not gonna like the Silmarillion.
No, I wouldn't.
Absolutely not. Are making these campaigns for the boys, is it inspiring graphic novels from those campaigns?
Children make interesting choices with their characters. So
it's kind of like Axe Cop used to be for Image.
Yeah, so it would be really funny to do. I am writing down a summary of each one of them, and when we finish it, what I want to do is have an artist friend do an illustration for each, like probably not every time we played, but each large story arc, and then I'm going to give them that with my summaries down the road.
Oh, that's
so I'll
great.
probably do something there. But it was creatively sad. Like it made me realize I enjoy making stories and coming up with this stuff, even if no one sees it. And that was fun. Like it was worthwhile for just that. And they get really into it, and it's
well, if anything too, that's their stories as opposed to the stories you share with all of us. So I think that's fantastic, and they'll remember that. That's wonderful, man. That's really cool.
I've spoiled them. If they ever try to play with like a 14-year-old dumb dungeon master, they're going to be really surprised how much energy I put into this thing.
That's hilarious. I've never listened to, I don't even know if they still do it. In the early internet podcasting days, Brian Posehn used to do Nerd Poker, and I think he would play D&D on a podcast and stuff.
Yeah, one of the things Critical Role is like a massive version of that where the voice actors play. And that was one of the ways I learned how to do it, was in that. And that probably also set the bar high. Like, you have to do all this, which obviously you don't have to do all that. But like I make these big elaborate maps on the back of wrapping paper because it's cheaper than grid paper that I spend 2 or 3 days building out. It don't matter at all. But yeah, and that's probably reading that stuff, reading through the books you have to read to run a game is probably what got my mind going on all this fantasy stuff to begin with. But it's fun.
That's excellent, man. Very, very cool. Well, again, we will. When does Just Brutal start?
So next Wednesday, so Wednesday the 11th is when the first issue comes out. Like I said, the cold open is available now through the website, the Ignition Press website, and then I assume it'll be monthly. We're way ahead, so I assume it'll be monthly after that.
Beautiful. And okay, so first arc 6, but it's ongoing.
6. It has an ending at 6. I think it will probably depend on what we're doing, but yeah, like it was planned for 6. So if there's more, there'll be a break after 6.
Okay, cool, man. Well done, dude. Exciting, and congrats. And it sounds like you're having fun with the kids, so that's great too. And I'm glad there's a balance, and we get an opportunity to get new stories from Dennis Hopeless. So Just Brutal, everybody, from Ignition Press and Dennis Hopeless and Company. Well done, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
As always, absolutely. Tomorrow night, I'm going to talk to one of my favorite guys from Comic Pop, another fine YouTube show. Sal Crivelli, my dear friend from New Jersey, is going to join me. We're going to talk about DC, Marvel, and create our own books as well, and see what's happening in his brain and the Comic Pop community. So join us tomorrow night. Until then, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.